I'm Jarret Redding.
My name is Zielenkievicz. I'm a contributor for Mash Those Buttons.
What's up, guys? I'm Chen from Get Salty.
My name is Joey from Get Salty, and we're talking about MMOs.
How do you introduce an MMO?
No, that's like introduce, like you just like enter, like
That was my introduction.
MMO is a game that isn't just a game when you get into it. It actually becomes almost like a second life.
Vi selv nøgen, er det ikke der?
MMO, like me and MMOs, I didn't get too big into them. I would say I've probably been playing MMOs. I wouldn't even say I'm seriously playing MMO now.
I never thought I would get into an MMO, and a couple of the MMOs that I got into was because I was supporting a group of friends, and technically the very first MMO that I played was Matrix Online. Now, it's not, well, one, I was like a big Matrix fanboy, but at the same time, a couple people that I know from this old team called Zero Gravity in California, some of them actually did motion capturing for Matrix Online, you know, and I helped out, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna support the product too. So that's why I started playing it, but I never really understood what MMOs were then, so I just played it and I thought it was cool and whatever, right?
I don't know, I've been playing MMOs, I guess, well, since what, 2000-ish? Maybe, a little bit before that. I played some MUDs, it was my introduction, I guess you could say. And I remember, I think The Sims Online was technically the first one that I actually got my feet wet with.
I'm not a huge fan of questing.
You care about your character, you know, like every little thing you do.
I hate raiding.
It's hard to walk away after you put so much money in it and so much time in it.
I kind of don't like questing with other people. You know, like I don't like no quest. I'm gonna pretty much do it by myself. What I do, I love PvP.
That's something you can never get back, unlike other games.
I love killing people. It has to be a person, not a machine. Has to be a person. Somebody on the other end of on the other end of the internet, at their keyboard, slamming down their headset. Like, this guy will not let up. What the fuck is his problem? That's what I want. That's the emotion I want to see. That's what I love. That's what I want. It feeds me. It's the only reason I'm alive.
Griefer, man.
Guild Wars, I did like Guild Wars. One, because levels really didn't matter all that much. Gear definitely helped. But Guild Wars was definitely PvP oriented. I think in the early betas, like, I don't even know if they had PvE available in the early betas for Guild Wars. And I think I think they didn't, but after some negative feedback, you know, they added some PvE, which was actually, it was good, it was fun. And that PvE was built for people like me who didn't want to take, you know, regular people with me. Like, you can grab henchmen and just go through the levels and, you know, finish whatever you need to finish.
I used to play Guild Wars, but the thing is, at that same time, it was one of those times where I still didn't understand what MMOs were. So I played that game, and I didn't want to play with anybody else except for my friends. It was like my girlfriend and a good friend of mine. And playing Guild Wars, I think we played, whatever, like the factions, I think, the very Asian, like the Asian one. And I was like, we're playing that shit because they're Asian.
You know, or if you don't want to play PvE at all, you make a PvP character, and you can unlock every single thing in the game through PvP. You know, what more did I really want from that game? Like, I really there was nothing else I wanted more from that game.
And I liked it because of the fact that it wasn't just even though it was an MMO, there was an end game. There's a story that you have to play. They're like, oh, we need to stop the little fucking red things from coming out of the fucking floor and killing the world, you know. And I made like first I made like this ninja guy that was stupid. It didn't make fucking sense. That game, I made a ninja, but a Beastmaster too.
So you had all these different moves that you can do. And from there, you had to pick 8 total moves that you could do. And the way people will put builds together, not just with single players, but then have like team builds where, like I remember the Thumper build for a long time where like the hunters would go and just like you would knock people down, like the healers down, and then you have the elementalists in the back like slamming them with, elemental stuff,
In a sense, I didn't play that game like an MMO, but I love the fact that there was an end game that I was trying to go for, which I never got to because I broke up with my girlfriend at the point, so I just don't want to play the game anymore.
My first free to play was RuneScape, which is kind of sad. Like RuneScape 2D. It wasn't even 3D yet at the time.
I played so much free shit because at this point, like I said, during this time, just free, right? Like, I used to play Ragnarok online on a private server.
Perfect World supposedly does good. Mabinogi does good. Trickster online.
I played Science of Fate. I was like this healer. I was a girl healer, and I played with my brother-in-law, a couple of my friends, a couple of my guildmates from this particular game that we all started on. We played, Lunia, which was kind of like, in a sense, like Guild Wars, where you have a story, but at the same time it's still MMO. Even, you just make a party, and like the towns were just lobbies, and you get together and you guys would go into instances.
Ran online, that was like a high school beat 'em up MMO. I mean, the concept was cool, but the execution were bad. But I think behind the scenes, we don't even realize that these people that work on the free MMOs that we all laugh at actually gets a shot at bigger things because of these games.
I think Silk Road Online was a really, really good game, and potentially had the power to really be one of the biggest games out there. And I think maybe it is. I'm not sure, but the fact alone that it was because free to play, and a lot of people didn't really take it seriously because of that. And a lot of the design choices in there were kind of like just kind of tacked on because it is a free to play game. We're just like trying to get shit out there to make money and cash up and whatnot. But the game itself was actually pretty fucking cool. I like the fact that everybody had double trigger.
I mean, they're for the most part mediocre games, and they're fun to hop. Like my senior year in high school, I swear I was just hopping free to play MMOs with my friends just to check it out.
When Mabinogi Heroes came out here in America as Vindictus, played that shit, love that shit. Even though I guess that we call it action MMORPG.
You'll be amazed at all the concept that these developers actually come up with, that the top wigs don't even use, like Blizzard and Square Enix and NCSoft. They don't even use these ideas that I think that could actually prosper if they actually gave it a chance.
I didn't play Warcraft 3. I liked the Warcraft games, but I'm not good at RTSs. So I just saw a picture of a dwarf and a tauren fighting, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, I want to be a tauren. I didn't even know it was called a tauren at the time. I just want to be a bull guy. And lo and behold, here it is now, 12 years later, and I have a tauren, and it's awesome. That game is so... They took, EverQuest really sort of set the system up, and then they just took that and refined it and made it so perfect. And it wasn't anything groundbreaking, but it was just solid and polished, and it was awesome. That's what got everybody addicted, and I think they hit at a perfect time that they were able to get everybody to subscribe, and they've still got the subscribers to keep them going. I can't see anything short of them suddenly just dropping every single ball possible that would end it.
Oh, it's a lot better than we usually do. Alright, chums up. Ready, guys?
Let's do this. Leroy Jenkins!
Oh my god, he just ran in.
I'm a big Star Wars fan. And so I was excited. That was a problem, because I mentioned before how, I was all excited about Warcraft coming out, to play a tauren, and that came out roughly the same time as Warcraft, Star Wars Galaxies did. And I had to choose, basically, do I want to be a Wookiee or do I want to be a tauren? The Wookiee won out. That game, it should not have been a Star Wars game. It was an amazing game, and it was saddled with the Star Wars license. And the problem right there is that Ralph Koester had such an idea because he came from the Ultima Online mindset of a persistent world with housing. That game was not designed for the hero. the Jedi, and that's really the fundamental problem. Was there were a bunch of people came into that game and they wanted to be Jedis. They wanted the Old Republic, and they, years later they get the Old Republic. But that game was designed for you to be the moisture farmer. That was for you to be Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, not to be Luke Skywalker. It was awesome for it because there were people that they literally just moisture farmed. They had harvesters all over the place, and the amazing thing was everything was player generated. When that game started, there were no speeders, there were no guns. You had to go and harvest it. You had to harvest the materials to make the harvester, to make more materials to get the guns. The vendors even had to be manufactured. It was amazing how this economy just started from people coming in with nothing. It was almost like settlers literally landing on a foreign planet and beginning from nothing to make an entire economy. And that economy was amazing. And just the fact that people did this and they took it so far that you had buildings. They had to evolve the economy to the point where you had buildings that you could purchase and erect. And the skill system. I love the Secret World skill system because it harkens back to this, where there are no classes proper. There were a bunch of just skill trees that you could take and you put points into them, and eventually you could master certain trees. And there were certain there were certain recommendations for which you could take, but you could mix and match any skill that you could get to within the allotted points that you had. In my heart, I always saw I'd become a bounty hunter and I'd hunt bounties for a while, and then I'd become a musician and retire and own a bar. And that was sort of my goal. And then they changed the game because everybody else wanted to be a Jedi, and it was just, there's nothing wrong with that. I understand. Star Wars is so massive, yet it's so personal to everybody that there is no one Star Wars universe, despite what George Lucas says. And unfortunately, that game was not the Star Wars universe that most of the people wanted, and so they fought to get it changed, which good for them. That's what they should do. But the game suffered because the other problem too is their subscription numbers were flagging. They saw WoW was taking off, and I didn't realize it at the time because I wasn't playing WoW. But they did a combat upgrade that turned the game into WoW. It brought the exact class structure where all of a sudden they got rid of the skill trees, and now there are set classes. Oh, now you're a bounty hunter. These are the skills you get as you level up, and it became Star Wars WoW, which maybe that's what people wanted. But if you loved that world and you lived in that world, it wasn't what you were there for. And they had to destroy one world to make another, and ultimately nobody was happy. And as sad as I was to see that game go, it needed to. And I don't think the Old Republic is not a replacement for it. And that's got its own problems, but it's also got its own assets. And that's a whole separate discussion. But that game, no matter what MMO I play, and as much as I'm a Tauren now, and whatever I do in the future, I'll always be a Wookiee. And that game, I owe that everything to that game.
Final Fantasy, that one I hold close to my heart because I played Final Fantasy 11 for 7 years almost, and they just announced the new expansion for 2013. Final Fantasy Online is it's like the embodiment of all the Final Fantasy games up to that point. That game was it does have a big name behind it, but there was depth to it that a lot of people didn't appreciate because it was so slow paced, or it wasn't as friendly as, say, World of Warcraft. But the community in Final Fantasy 11, the one that really played the game, they were into it. And another mechanic that Final Fantasy 11 had, I think more MMO should incorporate, I don't know how hard it would be, was the job system, how you could actually change job on your characters without actually making a new character to play a different class. And the thing about that was, the actual leveling system, there was no skill points that you allocate, but you were given the set that was given to your job. And to me that was a big deal because when I tried World of Warcraft, one of the biggest turn-offs were people constantly telling me that's not a good build, you shouldn't get these skills, or you shouldn't go down this tree, or whatever reason. I felt like if I'm paying to play the game, I should have whatever freedom I want to play the game. And Final Fantasy 11 also included this sub-job system, which you had a second class on your active class that was half of the level, but you get all the skills. Say you were a warrior and you had thief sub-job. So you had all your warrior skills, and then half of what, say your warrior is level 60, your thief was level 30 at that time, so you get all the thief skills up to level 30. And that opened a lot of creativity as far as job selection go.
Maple Story.
Oh shit.
Oh shit, Maple Story. Guilds build on friendship. So basically that game I started and you know, I would tell people I was 12 years old, but obviously I was like running this I forgot what other fucking, there's one fucking other guild that was like a Zerg guild, you know, and there were a bunch of kids on there, right? And like my guild only really had like 15 people in it, right? But we were, you know, we were stuff, like we were the first to do a lot of things, you know, because like the fact alone, I think that I had a website for it. I made web comics. I would post regularly in Sleepywood. I would like be a person that would like sell a lot of shit in like the Sleepywood auctions, I think, or whatever, like auction house and whatnot. Maple Story was one of the first games like that. It was MMO, but it was like, you know, like the platformer. It's kind of like, it's not you sit there and you click. It's actually kind of cutesy and it's fun. Play with a girlfriend. Definitely that show with a girlfriend. Was stupid, but anyways, but it was fun, right? And the thing is, like, my guild, like that game showed me that even a game like that, like that's free to play game, has every element of every MMO that anybody would like kind of get into. It's like, you know, like at first it was just like, okay, I want to play with friends. Then it became like, I want to get bigger. Then next thing you know, you create the society in that circle, right? And you come together, and it's like now they become your friends, now part of your life. So, you know, after work or after school, you know, I would come home and I want to play that game because I wanted to hang out with my friends. And it just so happened that hanging out with your friends just mean in this virtual world. Now, there's a lot of people, that's why this whole thing where people don't know if it's virtual world and just real world, I guess, you know. And so, and that game fucking showed it to me. And like I said, like the amount of time you put into an MMO is kind of what you get, you know. So I used to make these videos, my guild videos, and it was supposedly so good. I remember like in sleeping, like, and this was before I was good at editing, but I know, cause like I would tell everybody I was 12 years old, but I would talk about porn and shit. I don't know how people didn't never put that together, and I would make this video, and like I remember sleeping with that net, and there was like a lot of people like, oh my god, this video should be like the American commercial for like okay, Maple Story, and I'm like, oh no. Then next thing you know, we would want like, you know, random events and contests and stuff, and like my guild would just win that. So definitely, and some of the greatest people that I've ever met came from that game, and I'm still friends with them. And I used to play that when I was like, holy shit, I was like, and I would still talk to some of those friends, you know. And I remember then when they were just like middle school, you know, and now they're fucking, one's a fucking pharmacist now and a DJ, and like one of the best fucking Smash players in Texas or some shit. And like, so it's pretty cool. The people that you meet, it shows you that even if like, that's why a free to play game like this, an MMO, when crafted right, when elements are there, it will work regardless if it's free to play or not.
Like they got addicted to Maple Story. I'm like, yo, are you serious? What the fuck is wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, Maple Story, dog. You know, and so like, yeah, man, fuck Maple Story. Like, for most people, MMOs are about questing and you know working together as a team and being a guild and friendship and all that shit. And that's not, no, MMOs for me are about killing other people. You know what I'm saying? And then if I meet some friends in there that have the same mindset that I do, like, yeah, let's get into let's go into an arena, let's go into this PvP zone, let's get behind these trees and gank the next person we see. We are friends, and we're gonna do that. You know what I'm saying?
I think MMOs, I think this is a unique time. I think this is really sort of the golden age of MMOs. And you could probably break it down a little more in like a golden and silver age over the last several years, but I feel like that with everybody having an online presence now, as far as like Facebook is concerned, and stuff of that nature, that eventually we'll just sign on and have sort of an online presence, and everything will filter through that. It's possible that maybe, you know, I can't imagine Blizzard would try to take WoW and make that like, oh no, now you're online as your WoW avatar all the time. But I think somebody's going to do something akin to that, and eventually, you know, we're going to hit that sort of metaverse where we're online all the time. That's not happening next year, but it's, I mean, they're just it's amazing because we're the first people to really begin to lose ourselves in another universe, and MMOs are the doorway to that.
So in the end, MMOs, like anything in the world, like too much of it can really, it's a second life, right? So, you know, whatever you put into your second life, you take away from your first life, right? Same thing, right? That's just how it works, right? And you know, that's why I think games like, you know, Guild Wars or WoW, when people say it's like, oh, it's casual, you know, it might be too casual for the people who have time to play, but is good enough for the people that can't play too much to play, you know, because they can still keep up. Now, like I said, like the conditioning of like, you know, it actually teaches life skills that we probably don't understand here. And you know, it's a lot easier to, like I said, it's a lot easier to talk to someone here when you're behind a computer, you know. But if you had that same confidence when just saying, you know, talking to people, then maybe it's not so difficult. It's like, if you know people online like you for the way you fucking are, people in the real world will like you for the way that you are, right? So, and I'm so glad too. Like, the MMOs taught me how to make some really awesome friends, and no matter where they are in the world, whether in Australia or Switzerland or fucking Texas, it's really cool. You know, you meet some really awesome people and really good friends. And MMOs are both a blessing and a curse. And I will never, ever, like, as much as, like, MapleStory, I love you, but at the same time, fuck you. Fuck you.
I feel like there's things that MMOs have that you can't really explain, that it just keeps you coming back for it. I mean, it's almost like crack. But yeah, man, MMO, they teach life skills. Like, I'm not even saying this as a joke, but they do teach life skills like managing your money, managing your time, how to socialize, if you're a guild leader, how to take charge and lead a group. I mean, these aren't video games, but there's actually a professor recently who actually wrote an article about how these could lead to experience in the corporate world and how it could help people. And the stereotype is that all online RPG players are just nerds sitting in their room, but the truth is there's doctors and scientists and lawyers that you can meet on MMOs that play this game because, you know, they don't, for whatever reason, they don't want to go out, or they just enjoy it for what it is, you know, because MMOs are just so casual, but yet they provide the depth if you choose to go in.